I regretted marrying you. I was wrong to marry you. My husband uttered those words across the dinner table after 10 years of marriage. Before I could even absorb what was happening, he slipped his wedding ring off his finger, threw it onto the table, and insisted I hand over mine. Then he ordered me to gather my belongings and get out of his house right away. I spent that night in a hotel, stunned and embarrassed, replaying every second in my mind. The next morning, I realized I had forgotten something important. When I returned to the house and opened the front door, everything suddenly became clear. I was wrong to marry you. For a moment, I honestly believed my husband was joking. The words sounded too harsh, too abrupt, too unbelievable to fit into an ordinary Tuesday dinner. I stared across the table at Daniel, waiting for him to grin. He didn't. Instead, he neatly folded his napkin and placed it next to his plate. The silence that followed felt heavier than anything he could have said. We had been married for 10 years, not a flawless marriage. No marriage ever is, but I believed we were stable. We owned a nice home in the suburbs, we both had steady jobs, we went on vacations together, we marked anniversaries, we made plans for the future. At least I thought we did. Looking back, the red flags had been visible for months. Daniel had grown distant. He stayed at work later than normal. His phone was always turned face down. Whenever a notification came, he quickly checked the screen and locked it immediately. At first, I brushed it aside. Everyone experiences stressful times. That was what I kept telling myself. When I mentioned it to friends, they chuckled. Men act strange when work gets hectic. You're overthinking it. He loves you. Maybe I wanted to believe them. Because accepting that something was wrong felt too frightening. Then came that dinner. I had prepared his favorite meal: roasted chicken, garlic potatoes, and a homemade dessert. The whole evening felt oddly formal. Daniel hardly said a word. He toyed with his food without really eating. Finally, he pushed his plate aside. We need to talk. My stomach tightened. Those 4 words rarely bring good news. What's wrong? I asked. He looked straight at me. His face was cold, almost detached. I've been thinking about this for a long time. A knot formed in my chest. Thinking about what? Us. The room suddenly felt smaller. I tried to smile. Okay. Then he said it. I was wrong to marry you. The words struck me like a heavy blow. I blinked, sure I had misheard. What? I don't want this marriage anymore. Every sound seemed to vanish. The ticking kitchen clock, the hum of the refrigerator, even my own breathing, everything faded. Daniel, where is this coming from? He shook his head. It doesn't matter. It absolutely matters. No, he said. My decision is already made. I stared at him, waiting for an explanation. A reason, anything. Instead, he reached for his left hand, slowly took off his wedding ring and dropped it onto the table. The metal hit the wood with a sharp click. Then he looked at me. Give me yours. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What? The ring? My hands trembled. Daniel, please talk to me. There's nothing left to discuss. His voice was completely flat. Like he was discussing a business deal instead of ending a decade of marriage. Give me the ring. Tears burned behind my eyes. Slowly, I removed it. The same ring he had placed on my finger 10 years earlier. The same ring I had worn every day since. I placed it beside his. For a brief second, I thought he might pause. He didn't. Now pack your things. I stared at him. What? You need to leave. The words felt unreal. This is our house. No, he replied, it's my house. I felt my heart sink. The property had belonged to his family before we married. Legally, he wasn't wrong. Emotionally, it felt crushing. That night, I packed 2 suitcases. Daniel never tried to stop me, never apologized. Never explained. He simply watched. An hour later, I checked into a small hotel across town. I barely slept. My mind replayed the entire conversation again and again. By morning, exhaustion had replaced shock. While searching through my bags, I suddenly realized something. I had left behind a small locked box containing family photographs and personal documents. I couldn't leave it there, so I drove back. The house looked exactly the same. Quiet, ordinary, familiar, but everything felt different. I unlocked the front door and stepped inside. Then I heard voices. Someone was laughing, someone who definitely was Daniel. And the moment I walked farther into the house, my entire world changed. For a moment, I stood completely still. The voice was coming from the living room, a woman's voice, laughing, comfortable, relaxed, like she belonged there. My pulse began racing. I took a few careful steps down the hallway. Every instinct told me I already knew what I was about to find. I just wasn't ready to see it. Then I turned the corner, and there she was, a woman sitting on my couch, holding a coffee mug. Wearing one of Daniel's oversized sweatshirts. The sight hit harder than anything he had said the night before. She froze, Daniel froze, the room instantly fell silent. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. Then Daniel stood up. "You weren't supposed to come back." I almost laughed, not because anything was funny, because somehow that was his biggest concern, not the betrayal, not the lies, the timing. "I forgot something," I said quietly. The woman slowly set down her mug. She looked uncomfortable, embarrassed, maybe even guilty. Daniel folded his arms. "It's not what you think." I looked around the room, the overnight bag near the stairs, the extra shoes by the door, the jacket hanging in the hallway. Then I looked directly at him. "It's exactly what I think." Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Finally, the woman stood. "I should go." Daniel nodded. She grabbed her purse and hurried toward the front door. As she passed me, she avoided eye contact completely. The door closed behind her. Then it was just us. 10 years of marriage standing in complete silence. "How long?" I asked. Daniel looked away. "A few months." I immediately knew he was lying. "A few months." He rubbed his forehead. "Longer." The truth finally started coming out. The relationship had begun almost a year earlier. The late meetings. The secret phone messages. The sudden business trips. None of it had been work. While I was trying to save our marriage, he had already left it emotionally. "I was going to tell you eventually," he said. I stared at him. Eventually. I didn't want things to get messy. The statement was so unbelievable that I couldn't respond. He had ended our marriage at the dinner table, demanded my ring, thrown me out, and he thought he had avoided making things messy. Then something caught my attention. A stack of folders sitting on the kitchen counter. Legal documents. Financial paperwork. My eyes narrowed. "What are those?" Daniel hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. I walked over before he could stop me. Inside the folders were notes, property records, financial summaries, printed emails, documents prepared over several months. He hadn't made a sudden decision. This had been planned, carefully, patiently, methodically, the house, the finances, the separation, everything. For nearly a year, he had been preparing a future that didn't include me. Without a word, I pulled out my phone and photographed every page. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Protecting myself." His confidence immediately faded. For the first time since I arrived, he looked nervous. "You don't need those." "I think I do." Over the next several weeks, more truth surfaced. Friends learned what had happened. Family members learned the timeline. People who had only heard Daniel's version suddenly saw the complete picture. The story he had carefully constructed began falling apart. And so did his reputation. Meanwhile, I focused on rebuilding. I found an apartment, returned to work, started therapy. Slowly, life became manageable again. Months later, I realized something important. The worst moment of my life had also revealed the truth, not just about Daniel, about myself. I had survived losing a marriage. I had survived betrayal. And I had survived watching the future I planned disappear overnight. The man who demanded his ring back thought he was taking everything from me, but he was wrong. Because when I walked out of that house, I lost someone who didn't value me. He lost someone who truly loved him. And in the end, only one of us recovered from that loss. It wasn't him.